All right. Hello, everyone. I am Mama Robin, or Texas Beach Mom. So welcome. Um, be sure and hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, share all those fun things, so that you always know when I'm up to something. Because I'm usually up to something. Okay. The first things first, I want to address Wednesday's video. We were talking about the Watts case because it was Watts Wednesday, and I mentioned an audio clip that I've heard where Jamie, Chris's sister, is talking to him on the phone from from the prison, and she says something about wishing she had never given him the oxy. That supposedly is a secret he's going to take to his grave, but she said something about it on the phone with him. Now, I didn't catch the whole clip. A lot of it's garbled. Um, but that was part of the clip. And the other part of that clip was, I believe the same clip, is where she said, I wish we could go back to that night on the porch. I wish we could go back to the night on the porch. And people wondered what she means by that. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I have people asking me if I have that clip. No, I don't have that clip. I heard it on, I was watching one of Mommy's Ramblings videos, and and she has a bunch of the prison videos, like phone conversations, and I heard it one of those. And Crime Catalyst has mentioned it before, so I'm assuming she has it or she's heard it. But that's all I wanted to bring up at this point is no, I don't have it. I am trying to get my hands on that clip. I want to be able to listen to it fully. Because honestly, I don't know if it was edited. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so, but I don't know so. I'm just letting people know that no, I don't have it. And I've been working on a case here in Texas, a Lady Bird Lake case where 13 people have died in the last 2 years. I call it mysteriously. The families have questions. 13 people have drowned. Lady Bird Lake. In 2 years, that's a lot of people. All 12 of those 13 have been men, and I think 10 of them were Hispanic. People suspect a serial killer. The police are saying no, not a serial killer. It's just accidents. I have been trying to cover this because I really think there's way more to this, but I'm finding the information on that case to be really hard to find. So, as hard as I tried, I don't really have anything for tonight on that. So, what we're going to do, we are going to talk about a case that has been making the news again. It's been circulating again. And that would be the Menendez brothers. Um, let's see when. Let me look at something real quick because I want to get my dates right. Because a lot of what I'm telling you is from memory, some of it's from notes. So give me a second. Yeah, it was August 20th, 1989, that Lyle and Eric Menendez killed their parents, Jose and Kitty. They were found guilty. They were found guilty. And they've been in prison basically since 1990. They claimed sexual abuse, but what made them look bad, partly, was after they killed their family, they went on a wild shopping spree, and they bought a condo, cars, just stuff. They went on a wild shopping spree, so that makes them look kind of guilty. And on top of that, let me turn my TV down. On top of that, The prosecutors accused them of lying about sexual assault, right? The R word. Sorry, I already let it slip once. Uh, they've been in prisons. They've been in prison for 21 years. Actually, a little longer than that. They're still in prison, and there's talk about their case getting reopened. And I'll get to all that. But part of what sunk them is of the jury of their peers. I think the majority of their jury, if I remember right, was men. And the prosecutors determined or implanted in the jury's head that the boys weren't molested because they were gay. Or it wasn't molestation because they were gay. So, a lot of the testimony by family members was not allowed. It wasn't allowed. There was lots of people talking about Eric and Lyle going to their cousins and saying, "My dad touches me here," or "My dad has me massage him, a mouth massage." There was cousins that knew about this. There was aunts that knew about this, but their testimony was not allowed in court. And like I said, a lot of the jury were men, and so they believed that maybe as boys might have been forced, but once they were over 18, it was no longer forced, so they had to be gay. Therefore, it wasn't forced. And the women were like, no, it was forced. Needless to say, the jury voted. I don't remember the actual vote, but they were found guilty of murder. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. Jose and Kitty Menendez were married in 1963. They met at the Southern Illinois University, and they were married in 63. And Lowell was born in January of 68, and Eric was born in November of 1970. At that point, Kitty became a full-time housewife and mother and left Jose to be the breadwinner. She didn't like that arrangement. She wanted to do more with her life than be a stay-at-home mom. But that's what Jose wanted. And Jose was her husband and the father of her kids. And she loved him. So she stayed home, became a full-time mom, housewife, while he pursued his career. And he is credited for working for RCA Record Company. And either he claims he discovered some of these groups. From what I can gather, he didn't discover them, but he did help manage them. And the groups he claims that he discovered are Eurythmics, which he is. This is fact. He did at least manage the groups, the Eurythmics, Duran Duran, and a Puerto Rican boy band by the name of Menudo. Who was it? Oh, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he's famous. He's like the most famous person that come out of that group. I wish I'd have wrote it down because at the time I could remember it. Ricky. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name right now. Give me a second. We'll find out because that's going to drive me nuts. So just give me a second. Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin was part of Menendo. And it's alleged by a member of Menendo that Jose Menendez molested him too. And maybe other members of the group. Nobody else has come forward but one member. But one member talks about his Jose's abuse to him. And he describes it the same way that Eric and Lyle Menendez described their abuse. So that's part of the reason why this case might get reopened. They might get a new trial. The two things that are ringing true or things being discussed is, number one, like I just said, one of the members of the boy band Menudo has come forward and said that Jose Menendez assaulted him. Nobody else has come forward, but he's come forward. And it's getting possibly reopened because they are saying, what they're basically saying is they didn't realize back then in the late 80s, early 90s, they apparently didn't realize what kind of abuse those boys had been through, or they didn't realize it and didn't believe it. But they also didn't realize if, in fact, they were abused, what that did to them, like the mental effect it had on them. Now, I don't know if they were abused or not. I wasn't there. But they claim to be abused. They claim there's supposedly, allegedly, letters that Eric wrote to family members, to cousins and stuff, saying, my dad is doing this to me again. To tell you a little bit about Lyle and Eric from what I could gather. Lyle was the oldest, and he was more of a take charge kind of person. And Eric was softer, quieter, shy. He was not as outspoken as Lyle. Lyle was very outspoken. Lyle was, and again, this is just stuff that this is my observation from when I watched the trial and the stuff I've heard about them lately. Because like I said, this case is back. It's back in circulation. It's back in the news. So, because it's back, I've been watching a little bit about it, and I've been refreshing my memory on it because it's been a while since I saw all this. But Lyle is saying that Lyle was the outspoken one. Like I said, he was the more dominant of the two boys, and Eric was the shyer one, less dominant one of the two boys. Apparently, the father, according to the father was molesting both of them from an early age all the way up to adulthood. When the oldest one graduated high school, Dad sent Lyle off to Princeton University. Eric was supposed to be a tennis star. He was supposed to be very good at tennis. He played tennis on a regular basis. He did tournaments, championships. Played tennis, but because he wasn't doing as good as his father thought he should be doing, his dad pulled him out of tennis and told him he was going to go to UCLA. Now, Jose and Kitty Menendez were very wealthy. They started out in Illinois. They moved to New Jersey and eventually moved to Beverly Hills. Because like I said, he worked for RCA Records, and he was in charge of, like I said, the Eurythmics, Duran Duran, and Menudo. And like I said, Menudo was a Puerto Rican boy band, kind of like the NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or something like that. And that's, like I said, where Ricky Martin got his start. And as I've already said, it has recently come out that one of the band members said that, yeah, he was abused the same way. So that's going to kind of give them credence to their story. But as I was saying, they were both abused by the father, while apparently the mother was turning a blind eye to it. Apparently. She was turning a blind eye. She claims, or there was claiming that she didn't know. Lyle thought she knew, and Eric didn't think she did. But Lyle even claims that the mom abused him, would have him, when he was like 11 years old, have him get in bed with her and touch her everywhere. It's also alleged, I don't have any proof on this, there might be proof out there, I don't have any, that according to the kids, they knew that their dad, or they were told by their mom, that dad had several mistresses, and that the family has talked about, because of all the mistresses the dad had, Jose had, the mom, Kitty, apparently attempted suicide 3 different times. She knew her husband was cheating on her all the time. Sometimes, apparently, he would flirt with women right there in front of her. And of course, to get these women's attention, he would say things like, I'm the one that I'm the one that discovered Duran Duran. I discovered the Eurythmics. That was kind of like an opening thing to get people's attention, to get women's attention. So apparently, like I said, they met at university in Illinois. They got married. They moved to New Jersey. Then they moved to Beverly Hills. Kids were born. She was a stay-at-home mom. He had a career. He apparently had affairs, and he apparently abused his children. And it wasn't just sexual abuse. Apparently, there was physical abuse and emotional abuse. But whatever the case may be, they were found guilty. They were found guilty, and they're still in prison today. But here's the thing, and maybe I'm wrong for saying this, and if I am, I'm sure I'll hear about it. Comments later on the replay from the replay crew. If Gypsy Rose can get her boyfriend to murder, to do away, to end her mother's life, and only serve 8 years in prison. I do believe, and hers was based on abuse. She claimed that she was abused. There's supposed to be medical abuse, mental abuse, emotional, physical kinds of abuse. She's talking about abuse. And there was some proof of it. Otherwise, she would still be in prison. I mean, there was some proof of abuse. I'm not a fan of Gypsy Rose. That is not where I'm going. I'm neither a hater of her nor a fan. Kind of neutral. But if she can do that and do 8 years in prison, I think they deserve at least to have their case reopened. I think they at least deserve a new trial. Now that we know today, now that they know today that they didn't know back then, I think they deserve a retrial. I do. I think they at least deserve it. If she can do it, she can get by with it and walk away and become an influencer, they at least deserve a retrial. Because if there really was abuse, and I'm not saying what they did was okay. I am not saying what they did was okay. What they did was horrific. Wrong. But I think they've already served their time. If there was, in fact, sexual, mental, physical, and emotional abuse that they suffered at the hand of their dad. And according to Lyle, the oldest one, their mother, or at the very minimum, she knew about it and turned a blind eye. They've already been in prison for 20, more than, Jesus, all right, no, stop, I think 1990. Jesus, yeah, they've been in prison for a very long time. They probably should be out by now. They probably should be out by now. Or at least, like I said, their case needs to be reopened and retried. Because when Eric's attorney tried to talk to the family, she could not find one person in the family, not one person, had anything nice to say about Jose. Not even his own mother. And by the way, Grandma was living there too. It was Jose and Kitty Menendez, Jose's mother, and I didn't catch her name, and then the two boys. Actually, Eric's the only one that still lived there. Lyle was away at Princeton University, and he had come home on a visit and found Eric very upset. And Eric told his brother he's still doing it. His brother's like, what do you mean still doing it? He's still doing it. How long has it been going on? He was like, it never stopped. It started when I was little, and it never, ever stopped. And Lyle said, well, it's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to do this. So apparently, allegedly, Lyle confronted his father and said, you're going to leave Eric alone. You're going to quit doing to him what you've been doing to him, what you used to do to me. There was a fight, an argument broke out. Lyle got mad, told his brother, we're going to do it tonight. We're going to end their life tonight. Allegedly, Eric was against it. He said, I don't want to do this. There's got to be another way out of this mess. Ending their lives is not the right way to do it. Lyle was apparently, according to what I know, Lyle was like, no. We got to do this. We got to do it tonight. So once Lyle had his mind made up and he convinced his brother, they took guns in there and they ended their parents. And then, like I said, they went on a shopping spree. So the shopping spree makes them look incredibly guilty. And so does the fact that it continued after he was 18. Like I said, the jury was very indecisive. The men were like, no, it's not abuse. He's gay. Eric's gay. It was consensual because he's gay. And the women were like, no, if it was little girls that this was happening to, you would be screaming abuse. But because it's boys it's happening to, it's not abuse. It's consensual. Women had a point, but needless to say, they were found guilty. Something else that came out in court that I learned about tonight and I didn't know about previously, and I followed this case pretty good because I was curious. It came out in court that Lyle, the older brother, took Eric, the little brother, into the woods and do the same thing to Eric that the dad did to Lyle. Repeating, abuse repeating. Abuse usually begets more abuse. So that's the big thing right now, like I said, is it's hi, Darlene. We decided to talk about the Menendez brothers. That's what we're doing tonight. It's okay because nobody else has been here. I've been on here for 25 minutes and you've been the first one here. So that's fine. But no, the Lady Bird Lake thing, I still don't have that much information on. I'm still having a hard time with it. So I thought I would cover a case that is back in the news, the Menendez brothers, because it's a case I actually remember pretty well. And I did some research on it today. I would like to cover this Lake Travis thing. I still want to. I still want to. I just cannot find enough information on it. So in the meantime, while I'm still working on it and Watch Wednesdays, because now I've gone for Watch Wednesdays, I've got an audio clip to try to find that I've heard once. And I heard once probably a couple of years ago. And then, like I said, Crime Catalyst brought it up once. So I'm assuming she's either heard it. Yeah, a lot of people have been reading about it. That's why I said it's an old case, but now they're bringing it back because there's a possibility that their case is going to get reopened. There's a possibility that they're going to get a new trial because there are people now coming forward and saying, or at least there's been one person that's come forward and said that Jose Menendez abused him as well. Because Jose Menendez, and I keep messing up the last name. I don't know why I stumble over it. It's not that hard. But he worked for RCA Records, and he was a manager for Duran Duran, or not a manager, but he worked with Duran Duran, the Eurythmics, and a group called Menudo. I don't know if you remember that group. You're a little bit younger than me. They were a Puerto Rican boy band. It's the band that Ricky Martin was in. And one of the members from Menudo have come forward and he has said that Jose Menendez abused him too. So because of that, and because of the things they know now that they didn't know then, there's talk of them reopening the case because they've been in prison since 1990. They've been in prison a long time. But I was just talking about all the things that Lyle used to do, or not Lyle, I don't know why I keep saying Lyle. Lyle was one of the kids. Jose used to do to Lyle and Eric. There's all kinds of things their boys are claiming that their dad did to them. Mouth massage is what they refer to it as. Yuck. But mouth massages is what they refer to it as. And I was actually watching a little bit about it tonight, trying to refresh myself on the case because it's an old case. But they were talking about all the abuse they went through and how back then none of the family was allowed to testify. None of the family was allowed. A lot of statements weren't allowed. And the male members of the jury thought that the boys, especially Eric, were homosexual, and therefore it was consensual. It wasn't consensual. It was abuse. A lot of people thought they were lying. Even I did. But now I think they're telling the truth. See, That's what I was bringing up earlier. A lot of people thought it was a lie. They just didn't believe that those boys were abused like that because Jose Menendez was a pillar of Beverly Hills community, and he worked for RCA Records, and he did this and he did that. He was well known in the music business. Da 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 da. And the other reason why they had a hard time believing it is because the boys made themselves look bad. Because after they killed their parents, they went on a shopping spree. So people were assuming that they killed their for money, but they didn't. I don't think they did. I think there was abuse because there was letters that Eric had written to his cousin, one of his cousins, saying, "Dad's doing this to me. Does your dad do this to you?" Type conversation. Like, is this normal? Am I messed up? And the cousin's like, "No, my dad doesn't touch me like that." They wouldn't allow those testimonies, though. They allowed very little testimony. And as I was saying before you came in, a lot of testimony wasn't allowed. Apparently, Eric had told a few people, "My dad does this to me." And the lawyer talked, Eric's lawyer talked to many people in the family and could not find one person to say one nice thing about Jose. Nobody liked Jose. They all thought he was a real piece of shit. They thought he was a real piece of shit. And Kitty Menendez, apparently, allegedly, attempted suicide 3 times because of all the times that her husband cheated on her. Also, allegedly, Kitty Menendez knew Jose was doing this to those boys, and she turned a blind eye to it. She just like, nope. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. It didn't happen. And so that's the reason why she died as well. That is the reason she died as well. According to the boys, she turned a blind eye. Thank you for all the hearts. I appreciate those. She turned a blind eye to it. She was like, I didn't know it was happening. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And that kind of brings me back to Madeline Soto and Jennifer Soto and Stephen Stearns. I don't believe, and we talked about this before, I've done a video about this. I do believe that maybe in the beginning she did not know. But I believe over time she figured it out and turned a blind eye to it. I believe some women do that, and you've told me a little bit about your family, and I believe other people don't know it. I think it depends on the person, but I do believe that in some cases the mothers turn a blind eye to it. They're like, no, I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know. I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, and I've never been there, so I can't say for sure. I think I would know. Maybe not initially, but I think I would figure it out. And I think once I figured it out, I would grab my kid and be gone. I'd be like, you're not doing this to my child. You're going to have to find somebody else because you ain't doing this to my child. And I think I would turn him in. I'm positive I would if I didn't kill him first. But back to what I was saying. Apparently, Kitty Menendez knew what Jose was doing to the boys, and she turned a blind eye to it for years. It was even said in trial, according to Lyle, that his own mother also abused them in the same way. And Lyle admitted to abusing his brother, Eric, when they were little, basically repeating what they learned from their dad. So dad was doing it to Lyle. But in my mom's case, and then that's another situation. That's another thing that happens is the woman is so beaten, abused, she doesn't know what to do anymore. I don't think in Madeline Soto's that was the case. I don't. I don't think so. But it might have been. I mean, we weren't there. I don't know. And and in Kitty's defense, or at least a little bit in her defense, she was battered and bruised and broken down. Apparently, Jose was horrible to her, uh, physically, mentally, just horrible. He also cheated on her a lot. Yes, I think Jen is a whole different situation. I agree. I think Jen knows. Well, this case is kind of like Madeline Soto. The Menendez case is kind of like a Madeline Soto and Gypsy Rose case. Just kind of all rolled in because you have the abuse from Stephen onto Madeline, and then you have a child doing away with a parent the same way Gypsy did. It's kind of like a mixture of the two cases all rolled into one. Actually, there's kind of three cases rolled into this one, but whatever. Anyway, Kitty was abused by Jose and apparently turned a blind eye to what her sons were going to. And the sons were abused. And even like I said, Lyle admitted that his dad abused him, and then he admitted that he abused his brother Eric in the beginning because it's what he was repeating the pattern that his dad had done to him. So there was a lot that came out in their court, in their thing, in their testimonies. And as I said earlier before you checked in, I lost my train of thought. As soon as I was going to tell you what I said, it left. Welcome to 60. That's all I can tell you. Crap. I hate when this happens, especially if I'm sitting here on a live stream of all places. Yeah, welcome to 60. It's fun. Yeah, it's totally gone now. It's totally gone. Like what I was going to say has left the building. It is like Elvis. It has taken off and it's gone. And I can't remember the thing I was going to say. Repeating of abuse. Jose was abusing the wife and the kids. Don't remember what I was going to go with now. I feel so stupid. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about Kitty abuse. She was abused by him, and she was cheated on him. She tried to kill herself like allegedly tried to kill herself 3 different times because of all the cheating he did. So maybe there was a point in that where she just started turning a blind eye because she just didn't know what else to do. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think it's a very interesting case. And I think that they should get another trial. Like I said earlier before you sat down, if Gypsy Rose can get somebody to kill her mother and only do 8 years, and she's walking around being an influencer, then by all means, I think the Menendez brothers should at the very least, at the very minimum, get a retrial. And because that one band member came forward and said, yeah, Jose did this to me. And it's the same thing that the kids said it was done to them. And because they now are claiming they now understand what abuse, now they have more proof of what abuse would have done to them. They didn't have that proof back then. I don't buy that. And then, like I said, the jury was almost equal part men and women, but the men kept saying, I heard Kitty's sister say that Kitty didn't really want kids. No, I have heard that too. That's something else I was going to get into. So thank you for bringing it up. I have heard that too, that she didn't want kids. When she met Jose, they were at Southern Illinois University. And she was apparently a beauty queen. And she fell in love with Jose and wanted to marry him, but she didn't want kids. She didn't want kids. Um, I believe Lyle was born in January 1968, and Eric was born in November 1970. And after that, she had started to be a stay-at-home mom. She decided, well, no, she didn't decide. According to the story, she agreed to be a stay-at-home mom. She agreed to stay home, be the housewife, and all the things she didn't want to. According to Lyle, allegedly, mother also, um, how do I want to put this on YouTube? Did a lot of the same things. Uh, yeah. Um, you're both getting close to my age. I was born in '64, so um, but anyway, yeah, she didn't want the kids. She was a stay-at-home mom and didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. She was somewhat verbally abusive, and I guess at some point started doing things to Lyle, the older brother, like having him touch her everywhere, and he didn't want to do that with his mother. So the whole family's a mess. The whole family was a mess. And as I was saying before you sat down, join me, was damn, I keep doing it tonight. What is the matter with my brain? I'm old, but damn. Like I'll be talking and what I'm about to say just disappears. And it doesn't do it in normal day-to-day conversation, but it's doing it tonight. Um, I hate this. I'm having such a bad time with this tonight. I may have wrapped it up just because of my brain lapse. Um, she was doing things to the boys. The dad was doing things to the boys. The men on the jury didn't believe that it was abuse because their argument was, the men on the jury said this, that because Eric was over 18 and the abuse was still happening because he was still living at home, that it was consensual, and therefore Eric is gay. And Eric got abused because Eric was gay. And they call him a pansy and things like that. So that basically implied that it was consensual. And if there was abuse, I don't believe it was consensual. If there was abuse, then it wasn't consensual. I mean, you know, um, I just, I don't, like I said, I don't know. That's what the men on the jury said. The men on the jury made comments about the fact that, yes, anything that happened to Eric previous to 18, he was a child and therefore was abuse. But because it continued after he was 18, then it became consensual and he was gay. And that's the whole reason that they don't believe that it was abuse anymore, because he was gay. Well, and that's kind of why this case is being reopened, because they're claiming that because times have changed and we know things now about abuse that they didn't know back then, that's one reason why it should be reopened. And the other reason is because of that band member that came forward and said, hey, Jose Menendez did this to me when I was 14, 15 years old. Um, so I would like to see it get rid, but there was a lot about this. I had gone through a bunch of things about how Kitty and I keep saying Lyle, Kitty and Jose met. They got married. They had kids. She stayed at home. He had affairs. She apparently tried to kill herself. She was verbally abusive. Jose was mentally, physically, everything abusive to everybody in the family. He would use the fact that he worked for RCA Records and that he knew people in the music business. He would use that to pick up girls in front of his wife, allegedly. And like a lot of this stuff is alleged, it's kind of like in the sense that Gypsy Rose stuff, some of it's alleged because Dee Dee's not here to tell her side, and Kitty and Jose Menendez are not here to tell their side. But the biggest thing that made them look guilty was they went on a shopping spree. And I have to be honest, that was the thing for me when I found out that after they killed their parents, they went on a shopping spree. I'm like, well, maybe they did kill their family for the money, because that was the accusations, was they killed their mom and dad for the money. But now that I know more about it, I'm like, well, the shopping, I have to admit, I'm not saying they weren't abused. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is the fact that they did go on this tremendous shopping spree after killing their parents kind of does make it look like they did it for money. Because apparently, allegedly, they had been taken off the will. And they were apparently killing them to get the money that they would get from his life insurance. But if they were out of the will, they wouldn't have gotten anything except for what the insurance provided. And I don't think they even got that. Like, they did go on a shopping spree. They did buy condos. They bought a restaurant. They bought a Porsche. It was a matter of fact, at the time that Lyle was arrested, Eric was out of the country doing a tennis tournament because Eric was a tennis player. Apparently a very promising tennis player, and he was in another country when Lyle got arrested. Well, when he found out from his grandmother that Lyle had been arrested, he came home. He wouldn't let his brother. I mean, he was already out of the country. I think he was in Tel Aviv. Yeah, I think he was there. He was somewhere out of the country doing a tennis tournament. And he came back home. And he was, of course, then arrested when he came back home. But from what I understand, allegedly, when Grandma found out about the abuse, and this was Jose's mother that was living with them, she stood by those boys. She stood by those boys through the whole thing. So they grew up being abused. One of the trips that Lyle had come home from because he was away in Princeton. Lyle was away in Princeton, and Eric told him about the abuse. He's like, Dad's still abusing me. And Lyle was like, what do you mean still? He goes, it never ended. He's been doing it for years, and he's still doing it. And Eric was like, well, this has to stop. So apparently Lyle confronted the dad and said, hey, you're not going to abuse Eric no more. We're not doing this. Just step. And Dad said, you're not going to tell me what to do in my house. I'm going to do what I damn well please. And so Lyle told his brother Eric, we're going to kill him tonight. And Eric was like, well, isn't there another way out of this? Can't we just leave? Can't we just run away? Can't we do something different? And apparently Lyle was like, no. We got to do this. We're going to go ahead and kill them tonight. We're going to do it because if we run away, Dad will just find us. So Dad had abused them both at an early age. And then as Lyle got older, it stopped, but he continued abusing Eric, even though Eric was over 18. And the jury, when they were discussing the case, the jury apparently said things about Eric is gay. You can tell he's gay by looking at him. He's a pansy boy, this and that and the other. So I'm telling you, that's why a lot of it. That's a lot of why they were. There was a lot of reasons they were found guilty. Like I said, number one, they went on that tremendous shopping spree. Number two, they most of the jury were men and they didn't believe there was abuse. They believed it was consensual. Number three, there was a lot of testimonies and stuff from the family that were not admissible in court. So yeah, I hope any people in the family before, that's just it. That's another thing. Eric was writing letters to one of his cousins and saying, my dad makes me give him a mouth massage. That's how Eric put it, a mouth massage, and made me swallow. Does your dad do that to you? And the cousin was like, no. Uh, no, that's no. Nobody does that to me. Well, my dad does it. I think he was looking for somebody to confirm to him, this is not normal. This is not right. And I guess nobody stepped up. And from what I understand, and again, some of this is alleged because Jose and Kitty Menendez are not here to tell us about it. But according to the boys, Jose was just horrible. I guess he was just very abusive to everybody. And that like the whole family. And that might explain why nobody stepped up and helped them. Maybe they were afraid of Jose. Maybe they were afraid what would happen to them if they did step up and help those boys. Somebody should have jumped in. If he was really telling cousins about this and he was telling family members about this and nobody did anything, they're just as accountable. Now, the shopping spree thing makes me go, still to this day, makes me go, why the shopping spree? Why did we buy condos and a restaurant and a Porsche and whatever? I mean, so that part does make me think about, you never what's going on behind closed doors, just awful. I agree. Apparently Jose was also very strict. I mean, he just wasn't abusive. He was just strict. And he was very strict in how they spent their money. Trauma shopping, that is a very, I've never heard that before, but that makes sense. I've never heard that term, trauma shopping, but that would make sense. I mean, I've never heard the term directly, but now that you mention it, like when I would go through bouts with my ex, I would do a little bit of shopping, like more than normal. So, like when you're depressed, yeah, it makes you feel better, and maybe that was it. And that's what I'm saying. After my bouts of it, after a really bad bout with my ex, I would find myself spending more money than normal, and then happen to account to it later. Like I'd have to look at my ex and be like, "What'd you spend this money on?" You know. So yeah, I get that. Maybe that's what that was. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Because that is partly what got them in so much trouble. That is partly why people went went and said, um, well, they must have did it for the money because they went on a tremendous shopping spree. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was trauma shopping. I like that term. Thank you. It's probably not new. It's the first time I've heard it, though. I like that. I'll have to use that. But yeah, trauma shopping, that would be a good example. I mean, that would explain the big, tremendous shopping spree. And maybe feel control. You know, gosh, I love it when you respond to my stuff because your reactions, the things you say, like in comments and stuff, just make me go, yeah, Jesus, that's right. You make me think about things in a different way. So thank you. Um, but yeah, you got a point. Maybe it did make them feel in control because Jose had a lot of control over them. He controlled every aspect of their life. And maybe this was the first time they felt like they could do anything, that they had control of it. Maybe that was the shopping. And I mean, I kind of get the condo because they don't want to live in the house that they killed their parents in. You know, I wouldn't want to live in that house. I used to take psychology classes. I took them in high school. I took abnormal psychology. I took just psychology in my junior year, and I took abnormal psychology in my senior year, and I did very, very good. But I mean, we talked about a lot of different cases in psychology class, but we didn't talk about things like trauma shopping. But and that's been many years for me. I was what, 16, 17, and I'm 60. Probably wouldn't hurt me to brush up on that stuff. But yeah, I would like to see the case get opened. I would, because and here's the thing. When this case started being talked about again, I remember telling my son, literally like the other day, when they were talking about the Menendez brothers, and I don't know why I'm having a hard time with that name, but I am. When they were talking about it, we were talking about the case being reopened, and they were talking about Jose Menendez being working for RCA Records. Yeah, I literally blurted out, "Oh my God, that's right. He's the creator or founder or whatever of the band Menudo, and supposedly he had abused members of that band." I remember saying that, and the reason why that even came up is because one of the content creators I watched, Bailey Sarian, I think she's great. She has two different things she does. On Mondays, she does this thing called Murder Mystery Makeup Mondays, where she talks about a crime and does her makeup at the same time. And then on Thursday, she has this thing called Dark History. Well, in one of her dark histories, she was talking about the sexual abuse of boy bands, like the people that run these boy bands. She was talking about the different people that have run Backstreet Boys and Sync, Menudo, things like that. She was talking about the abuse of these boys in these boy bands, and she mentioned Jose. She mentioned Jose Menendez. Yeah, she brought him up just not that long ago. She was talking about it, and then, like I said, sitting here in my living room with my kid when we were talking about the Menendez brothers, I went, "Oh my God, that's right. Jose Menendez um, was in charge of Menudo, and he was accused of being sexually. He was assaulting one of the members, or all the members, or whatever. Ricky Martin was part of Menudo. That's how he got his start. Um, but yeah, I remember Bailey mentioning this, not so much in a murder mystery makeup thing for the Menendez brothers, but on a dark history thing where she talks about the dark history of boy bands. So it's kind of come full circle. If you watch her, maybe she'll cover the Menendez brothers on a murder mystery makeup Monday. I'm losing my mind slowly. I like Bailey Sarian. I really do. I used to think, because I did watch her, I used to think I can't do this. This YouTube's not for me. I can't do my makeup and tell stories. Are you kidding? Who would watch me put makeup on? But then I've seen other people, like Zwoki, as an example. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If he can do this, I can do this. So thank you, Zwoki, I guess. And I'm not putting him down so much. But what I'm talking about is the difference between, say, Bailey Sarian and the way she looks. There's a documentary about that. Yes. Okay. Well, see, that's just it. That is entirely why, or not entirely why, partially why this case is being looked at again. Because the boys had claimed abuse and nobody believed them. But now other people are saying, oh, yeah, he abused us too. Jose Menendez, yep. Menudo. I actually remember them faintly. Like I remember the band slightly. I don't remember that much about them, but I kind of do. But back to like I was saying, Bailey and Zwolke. If you look like Bailey Sarian and you're doing your makeup and you're talking about crime, she's got a face for YouTube. I don't, but I'm doing it anyway. I figure if other people can do it, I can do it. Well, maybe I shouldn't be doing it, but I am. That and it helps me. It helps me with my trauma. Me doing this helps me with my trauma. I don't know how or why it works, but it does. My therapist was talking about that the other day. So yeah, we were talking about the Menendez brothers. Thank you, Darlene. I try. I really am. I feel like I've gotten better. Like compared to my first live stream to now, I feel like I've gotten better. My videos have gotten better, but it does take a certain amount of bravery. Because of my first live stream, I was a nervous wreck. I was shaking. I was kind of soft, sick at my stomach. I wasn't feeling well. I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I thought, yeah, you can. I mean, I can talk to strangers in Walmart standing in line. So, and it's not like I'm on TV where a million people are seeing me. I'm on YouTube where currently right now 2 people are watching. So, and other people will watch it later. But it's like them watching one of my videos. That to me is not the same because I'm recording the video and then I'm putting it up. And nobody's watching it at that time. They're watching it later. Whereas when I'm live, anybody, anywhere can log in at any time and start watching. And I'm like, oh, shit. So, we're getting there. Yeah, Bailey Sarian is the one that kind of made me go, wait a minute. Jose Menendez, Menudo brothers. I remember, one of those moments. The not Menudo brothers, but Menudo, the Puerto Rican boy band. She's the one that kind of got me thinking about it again. I'm like, oh shit, that's right. And then when I started seeing things popping up on YouTube about the Menendez brothers, and because of the Netflix documentary, which I haven't watched the Netflix documentary on them because I don't have Netflix. I don't like Netflix. I don't like them. I don't have it. I haven't seen that yet. I kind of want to watch it, but I ain't gonna pay for Netflix just for one thing. I'll find somebody that has Netflix. I'll watch it on their account. I know that's bad. We're not supposed to be doing that. People do it all the time. But I did watch something on Tubi. Actually, one of the better watched documentaries I've seen wasn't the Netflix documentary. It was the one on Tubi. I feel like Tubi did a better job with it. Tubi's a little streaming service. Doesn't have near the people that Prime or Hulu or anybody else has. But they have a few things on there that are pretty good. A lot of their movies are older movies. But they have a few documentaries on there too that are actually pretty decent. They're trying. They're out there working, So if you don't have Netflix and you want to watch a documentary on the Menendez brothers, go to Tubi. It's there. And hopefully eventually other people will start doing one. I've got Hulu, Disney, HBO, Paramount. Maybe somebody else will do one. I only get Netflix because my son and a couple of sons want one. Tubi and Peacock they do. I have found some interesting stuff on Tubi that I've not seen anywhere else. And Tubi is now doing original movies, which when I first started watching Tubi, I never ever pictured them doing original movies. I was like, no. And then I found out they're doing original movies and shows. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. And they're doing this stuff for free? How do they do this for free? Well, because most of their stuff has been watched a million times. But they've got some original stuff, and it's not getting pretty good. So they may not be free much longer. But if you don't have Netflix and or you do, but if you didn't, or people watching this, they don't know how to get Netflix. Tubi's got a good one because I watched it tonight to refresh my memory on stuff because this case is old. This case was in 19. They went to this happened in 89. Is that what I said? Yeah, this happened in 89. They went to prison in 1990. It's been many, 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 many years, and they're still in prison, and they haven't seen each other in 21 years. They play chess by mail. These channels are getting expensive. Oh yeah, they're all these channels are getting expensive. I've had to cut back. I used to have a lot of subscriptions to a lot of these channels. I've had to cut back because I can't afford it. Like I'm down to like 4 channels now. Like I said, it's HBO. I got HBO, Disney Plus, and Hulu, HBO, and Disney Plus on a bundle, a really cheap bundle, like $16.99 a month. And I'm like, 3 channels for $16.99? Yeah, I'll take it. And then Paramount, I'm getting at a discounted price because it's connected to my Walmart Plus, so that helped. And me and me and Amazon had an argument, so I don't have Amazon Prime at the moment. Um, that's another video for another time. But no, that he was abusive. He was mean. He had affairs. This is all alleged because he's not here to defend himself, but he was abusive sexually, uh, mentally, physically, everything abusive. He was all the abusives. He had affairs. Um, I had to cancel some. My husband, some of them, he would probably lose his shit. I don't have a husband to do that. I don't ever think I'm going to be married again. I'm 60. I doubt very seriously I'm going to find somebody that I trust at my age, because they would have to earn that trust because I had so much damage done with the last one. But maybe. That's another video for another time. But no, Jose was abusive. Everybody was afraid of him. Nobody said anything about him. The kids finally did something about it. I think you're right on the trauma shopping, but I think and the feeling some control in their life. But I also feel like they felt like they got by with it and they needed to go finish living their life. They needed to continue living. I mean, they'd already done it. They were free at the moment. Another thing that got me kind of started on this was I watched another one of Amber's lives about Gypsy Rose, and I shouldn't watch those. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, because just listening to some of the snide remarks. And I said this last week. I said this last week, and I'm going to preach a tiny bit again right now, very tiny bit. If you hate her, you hate her. But hate her for the right reasons. Don't hate her for something stupid. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But I shouldn't watch those because they get me. They kind of some of the comments piss me off. Like, seriously, okay, yeah, her voice gets on my nerves. Yeah, she had a big nose. I started. I got my husband when I was 42. My son, 21. Oh my goodness, that would be an experience. I will never have the experience. My son doesn't want kids of his, to be with anybody that has kids or to have kids, have a family. And my daughter cannot. She has a medical condition that will not let her safely carry a child to term. So she will not be having kids. And I'm at an age now I'm not having any more. So that's not a problem. Um, I And we were talking mostly about Jose being so horrible. I believe they were abused. And I feel like most people do too. Otherwise, this would not be the thing that it is now. It would not be gaining the traction that it has gained if they weren't abused. So I think they were abused. I did find this shopping spree a little sus, but I get what you're saying about the trauma shopping and the sense of control. That makes sense when you think about it. So maybe their next, if they get another trauma, maybe it'll go better for them. But considering that's all I really had tonight was the Menendez brothers, and I've really pretty much summed it up. And you can sum up this case pretty easy. Jose and Kitty married or met at the university, Southern Illinois University. They got married. They got married. What did I say? They got married. Let's see. I had all that wrote down. And then let's go back. 1963, they got married. Lyle was born in 68. Eric was born in 70. He apparently abused everybody. He cheated. He was a horrible person. He apparently was horrible to other people. Now we're finding out about that. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the case. They said enough is enough, and they killed their families. I hate that term, unalived. They took the life of their parents. There we go. Thank you. There you go, YouTube. Hope you're happy. They and I've said this before. I feel so silly. I'm 60 years old. Well, why can't I say what it actually is? I mean, I get it now that I've had somebody explain it to me, but I feel so stupid saying things like schmurdered and unalived. They took the lives. That sums it up. In the meantime, since I'm getting ready to wrap this up, and I hope they get a new trial, and you're the only person watching, thank you so much for being a consistent supporter. I really do appreciate it. I'm still trying to find that audio clip. I've heard it once a few years ago and had forgot about it until I heard Crime Catalyst bring it up again. When she brought up Jamie saying something about the oxy, giving Chris the oxy, I went, oh, we might have something here. Now, even if she admits to giving him the oxy, like in court or something, it still doesn't change anything. I don't see how it would change a thing. It might, the only thing it might do at this point is get her in trouble. And if she didn't know why he wanted the oxy, it doesn't even get her in trouble. She has plausible deniability on that one. Well, he said he had a headache. I gave him some oxy. Or his back was hurting, or whatever the excuse is. If she claims she did not know why he wanted the oxy, I mean, that's her brother. He asked her for some pain meds and she gave him some oxy. If she didn't know or did know but claims she didn't know, either way, it doesn't really get her in any trouble. She does have plausible deniability on that one. So in the meantime, since I know I heard it on a Mommy Ramblings video, I had to really go back and find that to figure that out, that even where I'd heard it, because I promised I would at least have an answer. It was a Mommy Ramblings video. She has a bunch of videos about that include phone conversations. Chris on the phone with family. She has a bunch of those, and one clip, one clip for just a few seconds, Jamie mentioned something about not giving him the oxy. She wished she hadn't given him the oxy. And I do believe it's the same clip where she said that thing about, if I could take you back to that night on the porch. So it makes me wonder that night, because people keep going, well, what does she mean by the night on the porch? Well, if she did in fact give Chris the oxy, maybe that means, like, I wish if we could go back in time. But then again, that wouldn't have changed anything, I don't think. Maybe he told her about Nikki. Maybe he told her about Nikki, and maybe she tried to talk him out of doing something stupid. Maybe because she didn't like Shanann. She did not like Shanann, period. But maybe she tried to talk her brother out of doing something stupid. Maybe she tried to say, hey, I know you're doing Shanann shit. I know you want to be this Nikki chick, but maybe you should think about what you're doing. Maybe that's all that was that night. But if in fact she did give him the oxy, whether she knew about it or not, maybe that was a reference to that night on the porch that she's talking about. Or like I said, it might be just two different times. Maybe, like I said, the night on the porch was just her trying to talk him out of doing something stupid, Because that was her brother. That's her brother. But because I mentioned it now I've got to go through, because it's not in the discovery. I can't find it there. So now I'm going to have to go back to Mommy Ramblings videos, go back through the prison phone call videos and see if I can find that clip. Or since that one was kind of garbled, maybe I can find somebody else that has it. Like I said, Crime Catalyst mentions it in one of her videos that she knows about Jamie saying this. So maybe either A, she has the audio, or B, she's heard it somewhere else. So now I can't guarantee I'm going to find it by this coming Wednesday. That gives me, 3 days? It gives me 3 days to find this audio, so I doubt I'll have it found by this Wednesday. But I am now on a search for it because I don't know if it makes any difference, but I kind of would like to hear it again. All right, wait a minute. Hold on. Because I was watching a Crime Catalyst video when she mentioned something about Jamie giving him the oxy. And it made my brain go, wait a minute, hold on. Yes, I have heard that before on a Mommy Ramblings video. Mommy Ramblings video, though. Mommy Ramblings and Kelly, this is me gossiping at the moment, I'm sorry. Mommy Ramblings and Kelly at WTO for a while back they were locking horns. They were button heads. Apparently Mommy Ramblings called out Kelly for some shit. And Kelly's words were, if it was a smaller channel, I wouldn't care. But she's not a small channel. That's it. I think the first time I heard it, I just kind of blew it off. And then later on, when Crime Catalyst was talking about it, I went, oh shit. I have heard that before. So, and I like her. I think Crime Catalyst is on the button, and her videos are interesting. She does some funny stuff with graphics and stuff that I wish I knew how to do. And speaking of, in one of the comments on my most recent video from Wednesday, because I occasionally get comments from other content creators going, oh, I just found out who you are. Blah, 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 blah. Good job, whatever. But what I started to say, a another content creator got a hold of me and asked me if I wanted to do a collab. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be interested. So, yeah, I might be doing a collab soon with someone else. I don't know how that's going to pan out. It might happen. I don't know though. But yeah, Crime Catalyst, I like her. I think her theories are pretty good. They're not out there. I think her theories are decent. I think her graphics. I think she does some fun stuff with the graphics, like when she talked about Chris being a sheep. She's got like she put his face on the of the head of a sheep. I thought it was cute. I think she does a pretty good job. But I like her theories. I think her theories are really good. And again, and I've said this in almost every video I have. When it comes to Amber and Kelly both, I think they both do a very good job on their videos. But my biggest complaint about Kelly is the same complaint I've always had. Not I have watched a few things now and again, but not very much. Not like I used to. She doesn't seem to be as bad um, about the victim blaming as she used to be, and her mods have gotten better about calling people out, saying no, we can't say that here. So maybe she's learned something. Maybe she's doing better. But Amber, and I know part of Amber's problem is she's pregnant. But she's gotten real snippy um, with people. I mean, she's got an extremely loyal following, and you don't dare say anything about Amber. Uh, oh, I know, I got that. That her little fake laugh stuff. Um, but with Amber, she's getting really, and I know she's getting close to the end of her pregnancy because she's talking about doing one more week of videos, and then she's going on maternity leave. Um, but she's getting really kind of, if you're not one of her favorites, you get ignored. And so I don't even, well, I mean, you're being honest. You're being honest. That's fine. You know me, I don't care. I feel like everybody has the right to their own opinion, and everybody has the right to voice their opinion. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. Um, and I don't have a problem with Kelly's opinion in general. What I do have a problem with, though, is victim blaming. That's not allowed. I'm sorry, that's just not allowed anywhere. It shouldn't be allowed at all. And there are content creators that she has collabed with that if they actually watched her shit carefully and they heard some of the victim blaming, they would not be supporting her. Deception Detective has collabed with her, or not collabed with her, but he's mentioned her a couple times and what a great job she does on her videos. And he's very against victim blaming. And I think to myself sometimes when he mentions her, I think to myself, dude, if you knew what she was really like, you would not be putting her on a pedestal. And that's not a jealousy thing. That's just me being honest. Oh, yeah, I know. She does. Well, just tonight, she was asking an opinion about Gypsy Rose, and I typed in a theory, abbreviated, shortened theory, and she was reading stuff off, but mine was pretty good paragraph. It was as much as I could squeeze in. Mine was ignored. It always is. Everything I say is ignored. Doesn't matter how right I am. Doesn't even matter if I match with her. It's ignored. I don't know what I mean, she doesn't know who I am. And even if she's watched my videos, especially my older ones, I gave her credit for being a good content creator. I give her credit for doing good videos. So she has no reason to be mad at me. I just said that here recently she's been getting snippy, and I even gave her well, she's pregnant. It's her hormones. Um, so she has no reason to be mad at me. If anybody has a reason to be mad at me, it would be Kelly more than Amber. And one of the videos that Kelly watched, she did. She left me like a 3-paragraph comment where she defends herself. Well, I'm not victim blaming. I'm just talking about the different dynamics within the relationship. Da 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 da. And I'm on the fence about it. I'll admit. I came back at her and I said, "Yeah, Kelly, you are. You're on the fence about it, and that's one of the problems I'm having. Either on something like this, you can't go back and forth. You can't say, well, Shanann was a great mother, but she wasn't a great mother. You can't. You're gonna have to pick a side and stick to that one because you're nobody there. I don't care how popular you are. There's people out there that don't agree with you, but that's okay. They don't have to agree with you." So she did. She left me in like 3 paragraphs. Kelly did on like one of the first videos she saw. She said, she gave me a compliment. She said, "I think you're intelligent. I think you're very insightful. And I think once you know what to do and how to do it, I think you're going to make great videos." And then she gave me 3 paragraphs defending herself. And I responded. I was like, you go back and forth. You're on the fence, and I get it. It is confusing because there's times I'm like, well, maybe Nikki didn't. Or maybe Nikki didn't do this, or maybe Nikki did that. And then the next day I'm like, yeah, Nikki did. So yeah, I kind of get being on the fence, but I've never blamed Shanann for her own death. I have never blamed Shanann for her own death. Never have, never will. And I do believe a lot of people that hate Shanann are hating her partly because of edited videos they've seen that Shanann haters have posted, and partly because of things that Cindy Watts have said. Cindy Watts has a lot to do with her getting hate because Cindy Watts doesn't like Shanann. And you would think at some point she would be able to say, "I love my son, but this is what he did." And it's not Shanann's fault. She can't do that. I think some women are jealous of Shanann. I think and Nikki was one of them. Nikki was one of them that was jealous. I think she wanted Shanann's life. I don't think she wanted the financial problems. Nobody wants those. But I think she wanted the house and the car and the trips and the man. And I think I've given my theory on this before. I think Nikki and Chris met at the gym. People talk about from trying to figure out how long they've known each other. Well, I think they knew each other way before they had met, but I think they met at the gym. I think during that time when Shanann's parents were living with them, they were in the basement. He went to the gym to work out, and I think he met her at the gym. I think they may have had initial flirting, just casual. I think it started out just casual, "Oh, hi," type thing. And then it turned into casual flirting. And then she saw him and started stalking him and found out where he worked, got herself a job, and went from there. Yes. Um, well, with that being said, um, I think that is a lot of it. And I think with Cindy, and this is common with a lot of mothers and sons. I'm not saying it's normal, but I think it's common. I think a lot of mothers are jealous of their sons' relationships with their wives and girlfriends. I think a lot of mothers feel like that nobody could treat their son as well as they can. And I think they kind of are a little bit jealous of that relationship. I didn't say it was normal. I said it's common. I mean, I'm talking about jealous on a little bit weirder scale than you're probably thinking. But I think you know where I'm going with that. So that's just my opinion. that I think she was jealous of Shanann. I think Jamie was jealous of Shanann. I think a lot of women were jealous of Shanann. Um, I wasn't jealous of her. I think she was beautiful and smart and strong, but I wasn't jealous of her. And you can tell the people that aren't jealous of her, the people that aren't jealous of her are the ones defending her. The people that are bashing her are the ones that are jealous of her. So I agree she was beautiful, successful, smart. I do think she made some parenting mistakes, but we all make parenting mistakes. I do think she made some mistakes within the dynamics of her relationship. But again, we all make mistakes in our relationships. I think had she been allowed to live, she would have grown and gotten better. She wasn't allowed to live. Chris seen to that. So I don't know what Watch Wednesday is going to be. It might be about the drug thing again because I'm getting a lot of feedback on the drug one. That seems to be when I go through my analytics, that seems to be a really popular thing about ice cream and lollipops, meth and fentanyl. That one seems to capture a lot of attention. So if I haven't found that audio clip by then, I don't know that I will. Because between Friday Night Lives, Wednesdays, and now I'm possibly doing a collab with somebody else. Yes, she was willing to work on herself. She was willing to work on herself. She was willing to, m- um, mend fences with the family to make life easier. She was willing to do anything it took just to fix that relationship and make her and Chris stronger. She was willing to do pretty much anything. And it didn't matter. He was done. He was done. He discarded her because he was done. He thought he wanted to have Nikki. And I'm going to tell you something. I heard his mom, something that she said in one of her interviews that really got my attention the other day. And I've heard this same clip 1,000 times, so I don't know why it's just now getting to me. But Cindy said something about he didn't have the right person by his side. Okay, let's take that for just a brief second, and then I am going to wrap this up. Um, let's just take that for a second. Did not have the right person by his side. Now, I granted at that point she didn't know Nikki. I think she knew a little bit about Nikki. I think she knew that Chris had met somebody. I think she knew that Chris was having an affair. I don't think she knew that much about Nikki, if anything, just that Chris was having an affair. But let's just take this for just a minute. The right person by his side. Nikki was not the right person for Chris. Nikki is not the right person probably for anybody. Nikki'd be better off to stay single. Nikki's probably not good for anybody. Nikki would be better off to be locked up in prison right along with Chris. That's probably never going to happen. But when I think about the way Cindy said, well, Chris didn't have the right person by his side. He had the best person he was ever going to get. Chris didn't deserve Shanann. Chris had the best person he was ever going to get. And she thinks, well, again, she didn't know that much about Nikki, if she knew anything. But Nikki was not the right person by his side. She probably would have thought she liked Nikki in the beginning. But if she thinks Shanann was bad for Chris, Nikki was way worse for Chris. Because of Nikki, he's now in prison. I'm not saying this is all Nikki's fault because people are going to watch this later and come at me in the comments. I'm not saying that it's all Nikki's fault, but Nikki played a role in it, whether it was a big role or a little bitty role. I don't know. She played a role in it. She played a role in that death, those deaths of Shanann and those babies. She played a role in it. So with that being said, I just don't think, when I think about every time I hear that clip of Cindy going, He didn't have the right woman, the right person by his side, I think. Really? You think Shanann was bad for him? It's a good thing you didn't get to know Nikki better. Oh, boy, would you. Can you think about it, though? The handful she would have been with the Watts family. Oh, my Lord Jesus, that woman. Oh, had he not killed, let's, had he not killed Shanann and the kids, had he just divorced her, I think that they would still be here. I don't think they would still be married. I mean, I don't know. But let's stop for just a minute. Let's pretend for a minute that he didn't kill them. He just divorced her. And let's pretend that he just started dating Nikki and he brought Nikki to his mom and dad's house. I'm thinking about Cindy and Jamie Watts and their personality. And I'm thinking about Nikki's personality. Now, granted, Nikki was good about saying the right things in front of the right people. But she can only hold that facade up for so long. She's eventually going to slip. And if they think Shanann was the wrong person for Chris, oh, honey, let me tell you, Nikki was so much worse for Chris, obviously. Look where he's at now. And she did make a comment once that she feels like some coworkers threw him under the bus. I don't know how many people are involved in it, but he didn't do this entirely by himself. So I don't know what Wednesday's going to hold for. I don't know what I'm going to do for Wednesday's video yet. I have yet to figure that out because, to tell you the truth, I don't know how to find that audio clip by Wednesday. I will eventually find it. I've made up my mind, so I will find it. I doubt I find it by this Wednesday, so I'm going to have something to do. I might even take that scenario where I was just talking about. I might do a little bit of scenario role playing thing about had he ended up with Nikki instead of Shanann, and how Cindy and Jamie Watts would have treated Nikki eventually if Nikki didn't kill them. I mean, she allegedly, when she was like 17, stabbed that guy in the back with a kitchen knife. I know YouTube's gonna be mad at me. I'm sorry. Nobody did anything with a knife. I can't fix it now. I done said it. But oh, that would have been. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right, Darlene. That would have been a mess. Between now and Wednesday, if I don't find this audio clip, I think that's what I'm going to talk about. But since you're already on here, let's put this in perspective for just a minute. Let's think about this in terms of, had he divorced Shanann and brought Nikki home to meet the family, the first few meetings probably would have been fine. She jabbed him twice. Thank you for the words. She did. She jabbed him twice. No telling what she would have done to Chris later, or Cindy, or Jamie, or anybody. Ronnie. If they think Chris Shanann was bad, they would have had their hands full of Nikki. She might have come off good at first. She would have manipulated and bullshitted and blah, blah, blah for a while. And then they would have started figuring her out, and all hell would have broke loose. So I don't know what Wednesday's going to be yet. And hopefully I'll have more information on Lady Bird Lake. I'd like to get back on that. But I think I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. Thank you, Darlene, for popping in. I always appreciate it. And to the second person watching, thank you for staying for a minute or two. Appreciate it. Gonna wrap it up. I was gonna wrap this up probably 39 minutes ago. But we have Wednesday coming up, so I'll see what I come up with by Wednesday. We might talk about that scenario. That's an interesting scenario to look over. And it's not actually part of the case, but it is something to get people's brains going. And thank you, Darlene. I enjoy having your comments because you always make me think about things just a little bit differently, because I've usually got my head set on a certain topic or a certain idea or a certain theory, and then you'll say something in the comments that makes me go, now wait a minute, Darlene's got a point. So thank you, because you do make me think differently. You make me re-examine my theories and go, wait a minute, hold on, maybe Chris really was on drugs. Because until you said something about ice cream being slang for meth, and him very specifically mentioning ice cream and lollipops, I had pretty much had it in my head that maybe they got stoned once in a while. Maybe they did some mushrooms. But I didn't think it was anything more serious than pot or mushrooms. And then when you mentioned the lollipops and the ice cream and the fentanyl and meth, I was like, wait a minute, she's got a point. She's got a point. Because then when you take the drugs, I didn't dismiss it. I have in the past dismissed it because when I look at Chris, I don't see a druggie. But that goes back to what I was getting ready to say. You think about Thrive, the patches he was wearing, and what Thrive does to the body. And all the weight he was losing doing Thrive and working out, going to gyms. But if you take what Thrive does to the body and you put meth on top of that, that's explosive. That's going to cause some major reactions. If you add meth to Thrive, can you imagine the mess that he was? Or if fentanyl was their thing, and I don't think so, but if fentanyl was their thing, that messes up people by itself. I mean, so does meth, but I was thinking about the chemical reaction between meth and Thrive and all that in his system going, holy shit. Oh, I have too. A little confession real quick, and I keep saying I'm going to wrap this up like several times now. A little confession. The husband I had most recent one was the one that was a narcissist. The one I had previous, the one that's the father to my children, before him and I got married, like at the very beginning when I first met him, he was a meth head. I didn't know he was initially when I met him. I found that out after I got to know him. And then he got off the meth and he cleaned up his act and he straightened up his life. And we got married. What he did is he just substituted to some degree his addiction. He no longer had an addiction to meth. He was addicted to cheating. And he cheated every time he had a chance. Like, I tripped and fell into a woman. It just happened. It was an accident. But before him and I dated, he was on meth. And I remember what he was like. I remember going to his apartment one time, back when we were at the very beginning, when we weren't even really dating yet. We were still just friends. Because he had called me up and said, I need you to come to he lived in the apartment above me. He said, I need you to come to my apartment for a minute. I need to talk to you. So he said, and my door's unlocked, just come on in. So I get to his apartment to come on in. And I said, where are you? And he said, I'm in the bathroom. And pain pills can do that shit too. But back to the ex. So I'm like, where are you? Because I'm in the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom where he was at, and the man was on the floor scrubbing the grout on the tile floor with a toothbrush and Comet. And he'd been doing it apparently, like he was like vigorously scrubbing. He was sweating. He stunk. He was scrubbing the tile with Comet and a toothbrush. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he was like, cleaning. I went, yeah, okay. He said, I need your help. And I said, no, you don't. You don't need my help at all. You got a toothbrush, you got Comet, you're good. I'm out. But he did. He cleaned up his act and we got married. And I thought he was fine. It turned out he wasn't. But nonetheless. But yeah, I remember what he was like when he was tweaking. And like I said, this was way back then before we ever dated. I didn't even date him until he got off of it and got himself cleaned up. Then we dated. And then we got married. And then we had kids. And then we got divorced. And then I met the guy that I was with for 11 years. But my point is on the meth, I've seen what meth does to people because it wasn't just him that was on it. His brother was addicted. So I watched what they both went through. So if you take meth, the chemical reaction to meth, and you add that to the reaction to that Thrive, that can make somebody nuts. And then you've got on top of the two chemical. If we know for a fact he was doing Thrive, okay. If in fact he was also doing meth, if you add meth to the Thrive, and then you got his mom constantly in his ear, you need to leave Shenan's a mess, blah, 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 blah. And then you got his sister in his ear doing the same thing. You need to leave Shenan's a mess, blah, 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 blah. Then you got Nikki in his ear doing all the same things. You got 3 women in his ear telling him what a piece of shit Shenan is. And he's buzzing on Thrive. And you put meth on top of all that. That in itself was an explosion waiting to happen. That in itself was an explosion. That all by itself was a mess. Just the very fact sent me a sample pack of Thrive months ago, and I'm scared to try it. I don't have an addictive personality, so I probably would be okay trying it if I had it. I kind of would want to just to see what it would be like. Because the first bad day I have with it, I'd be done. The patches, I'd be done. I'd be done with it. I can't even drink coffee. Um, I can drink decaf fine, and I can drink the half calf, the half decaf, half regular, and drink that just fine. I can do a couple cups of that. Regular coffee, 2 cups of that shit, and I'm done. Yeah, I've heard it's nothing but vitamins, and how do I want to put this? I'm not saying she's a liar. I'm not saying she's a liar. What I am saying though is I feel like there's more to it than vitamins, and maybe she just doesn't know. I mean, like maybe she doesn't know everything that's in it. Maybe she's told one thing, but nobody told her the truth. Because I actually believe that's how they sell some of that shit, is they lie to the reps. But and again, with all due respect, I am not calling her a liar. I don't know, but I would be kind of curious because coffee messes me up. So if there's anything stronger than coffee in it, and I'm just saying if, I would have one bad day on it and I'd be done. Patch would come off and go in the trash. I'd be done with it. So I'm kind of curious, but I don't have that kind of money. I checked on it once when I first started talking about this case online. I checked on it. I was curious. I can't afford it. It's all I know. But again, and mine is just kind of one of those weird theories. If the Thrive was causing some sort of reaction in him, and you put meth on top of that reaction, and then you get 3 nagging women in your ear telling you what a bad wife you have, you take all that. It's a recipe. It's a recipe for an explosion. And I'm not giving him an excuse. He did what he did. He did what he did. Whether Nikki was a catalyst whether she helped him, whether she buried the bodies, whatever. Nikki's involved in it to some point, because if you have nothing to hide, then you don't hide anything. She's not only deleted shit from her phone, she herself is in hiding. If she has nothing to hide, then why is she in hiding? If she has nothing to hide, then why did she delete the shit from her phone? She has nothing to hide. Why did she lie? So on some level, Nikki's involved. I don't know to what level. Somewhere she's involved. But regardless, Chris still did. And I probably can't afford it either. Chris still did what he did. Whether he did it because he loved Nikki, whether he did it because of Nutgate, whether he did it because of Thrive and meth and whatever his reasons were, all of the reasons, one of the reasons, some of the reasons, the combination of reasons, he did what he did. And he's where he should be. And I hope he stays there for the rest of his life. The very fact that they're considering letting Scott Peterson out has me going, what? Why? Why on earth would you let Scott Peterson out? That's almost as bad as letting Chris out. Chris did what he did. Whether Nikki's involved or not, Chris did what he did. He's where he needs to be. But I believe there was a lot of reasons behind it. I'm not giving that man a scapegoat. Because at the end of the day, he is responsible for his own actions. Or supposed to be responsible for his own actions. At the end of the day, when it's all over and done with, he is responsible for his own actions. So no matter who the catalyst was, no matter how much Thrive, how much whatever he was doing, how much Cindy nagged him and Jamie nagged him and Nikki nagged him, at the end of the day, he did what he did. He did what he did. And that's all there is to it. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change what he did. Whether Jamie gave him the oxy really doesn't even change what he did. Even if she knew what it was for, as I said earlier, she's got plausible deniability on that one. She can simply look at investigators and said, he asked me if I had anything for pain. I gave him my oxy. Now, that brings me back to that. If, in fact, she did give him the oxy, whether she knew what it was for or not, if she didn't know what it was for, why is she hiding that idea? Why doesn't she just come forward and say, I did it. I didn't know what he wanted it for. He told me he was hurting. I gave him some oxy. Because I'm going to tell you, the police already know this. People give medicines out to, and you're not supposed to take other people's medicine. I know that. Everybody knows that. But people do it all the time. My daughter got some muscle relaxers from her uncle the other day. She was in pain. He had muscle relaxers. He gave her a muscle relaxer. She's not supposed to take his muscle relaxers, but she did. So people do that kind of stuff all the time. If Chris had gone to Jamie and said, hey, I'm in pain. Do you have anything for pain? And she said, yeah, I got this oxy in here. I'll give you that. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe she really didn't know what he wanted it for. If, in fact, she did do it. But I do remember that clip. I just got to find it now. But like I said, if, in fact, she did do that, she still has, even if she knew it was for, she has plausible deniability. Look at the investigator and go, I don't know. He said he hurt. I gave him my oxy. It was wrong. But I did. I gave it to him. So, I don't know. I don't think it's going to come to anything. I think the main reason why I want to find this clip now, more than anything, is one, because I brought it up Wednesday. But two, because I want to hear the whole thing. I want to see if I can hear the whole clip. I want to hear this conversation. I want to make sure I heard what I heard. And again, it doesn't change anything. But I still want to know. And the people that watch my videos are going to want to know. Because I got some reactions from that. Which is why I brought up getting this live stream. I said, well, first of all, let me say up front, I've already been asked, I don't have the audio clip. I heard it on one of Mommy Rambling's videos, and I heard Catalyst mention it too. But I don't have the clip. So I was making sure that people understood I don't have the clip. I'm looking for the clip. I hope to find it. I'm sure I will, given some time. But I would like to find it. I would like to get good enough that I can play it. I can figure out how to do that in a video so that you guys can hear the same clip. Because it's not new information, so to speak, but it would be new to some people because that's what was some of the comments about it. Like, Amy, you really said that? I'm like, yeah, it was during a conversation she was having on the phone with Chris after he was already in prison. But it still doesn't change anything, even if she did say it. It doesn't change anything. Even if she did it, it doesn't change anything. Even if she knew what he wanted the oxy for. It doesn't change anything for Chris. It might get her in some trouble, but it doesn't change anything for Chris. He's still in prison where he's going to stay. The only thing it does at this point is just get her in trouble. So she probably would never admit to it. She doesn't want to go to prison like her brother did. Whatever. And again, she's still got plausible deniability. There was something else. Oh, that also reminds me. I need to start remembering to do this every Wednesday and on the live streams. On my channel page is a link. If you click on that link, it takes you to a website where you can sign a petition to get the Watts case reopened. I don't know how many people need to sign it still. I have no idea. That's what that page is for. If you click the link on my channel page, up at the top where it talks about Texas Beach Mom, I make short videos, whatever. There's a link. You click on that link, it takes you to a website, and that website gives you an opportunity to sign a petition to get the Watt case reopened. Even if they get everything signed, I still don't think it's going to get reopened, but it might. So I need to start remembering to mention that at the end of every video. Oh, you signed it already. Thank you. I don't know how many people have signed it. The people that watch my videos, I don't know how many people signed it. I don't know if they knew about it. And if they did sign it, I don't know if they knew about it before me mentioning it or if they knew about it since I mentioned it. So that would be cool if some people actually went, oh, shit, thank you. And they went and clicked on it and signed because I mentioned it. But yes, for the people that want this case reopened, I put that up there for a reason. I've signed it. I've signed every petition about the case that I can sign. Like there was like 5 or 6 different petitions that do different things. I've signed them all. I have signed them all. I want it signed. I want everybody to sign it. I want this case reopened because there's too many things that were missed. There was too many things that were hid. She was protected. There was so many unanswered questions. Okay, well, you go on mine. I am really wrapping this up because I said I was going to do that 58 minutes ago. But I enjoy doing this. Even if it's just you and I that sit here and talk about this, I enjoy doing this. This has turned into something I do on Friday nights now. And a few people join in sometimes. Other people join in, they talk. But I have enjoyed doing this. I do this on Friday nights. I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking to you or anybody else really that talks. Because we talk about a case that most of us are passionate about. It's why we're here. So I am wrapping this up. The petition's on my channel page. If you have already signed the petition, great. And if you haven't, click the link, go sign the petition. I don't know what Watch Wednesday is going to be about yet. I'll figure it out by Wednesday. There's never going to be new information. No matter how hard we dig, no matter how hard we try, everybody's already covered everything. And then a lot of the content creators at this point now are taking the same old information and reworking it and to make it sound different, but it's not. Once you watch the whole video, you're like, oh, I know this. So, and I'm not putting them down for it. I'm not being insulting at all. I'm not putting them down in the slightest. They're trying to keep their channel alive, and this is how they keep their channel alive. They take the old information and they rework it and make a new video about it and put it out there for people to watch. It's just that I watch it and I go, I knew this. I heard this from you like 3 months ago or whatever. And so I can guarantee I'm not going to have anything new on Wednesday. Nobody has anything new. But there are topics about this case that people seem to really like talking about. There are topics about this case that people love talking about. Mostly they like talking about why he did it. People find it so hard to believe that some of the comments I've read that make me go, what? Are, well, he was a good dad until he wasn't. Okay, well, whatever. So, Darlene, thank you for joining us. And anybody else that's been out there and watched this, to the replay crew, when you watch this, I'll see you on Wednesday. Everybody have a good night. I still got dishes to do before I can do anything else. Then I'm going to bed. Everybody have a great night. There they are. I send hearts up to you. I love my loyal listeners, even if there's just one. I love my loyal, and I like my replay crew. Good night, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful night.